Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. This week I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite spring flowers, which is the hellebore. Sometimes it's also known as a Lenten rose or a Christmas rose. And I love these flowers. They're one of the first in our garden along with the snowdrop every year. And they're really modest little flowers with all the flower heads just drooping down so that they don't actually reveal how beautiful they are inside. You can see there, it's absolutely gorgeous. I grow quite a few different varieties of hellebore in my garden, and I particularly like these double petalled ones. This is the first week in March and it's time to tidy up my hellebore plants. There's a few things we can do at this time of year to make sure that they grow well through the season and to display their flowers at their best for us. So today I'm going to tidy up the leaves. You can see here that they don't look their best at this time of year. These are last year's leaves. They're looking a bit old and battered from the wind and rain and snow and freezing weather we've had. So I'm going to just chop these at the base today with some secateurs, and then I am going to add some fish blood and bone meal for a little plant food just around the plant base, and then just mix that into the soil surrounding it, and then give it a mulch as well with some nice leaf mould compost that I've been making, and that should make sure that the plant is nice and healthy to grow away through the season. Hellebores are great because they flower over such a long time period at a time when there's not much else flowering in the garden. So these hellebores here will flower away from January to March, and as they mature their seed pods are actually really beautiful as well, so they'll last well into May for me and look really pretty in the garden. And I also use them in flower arranging and rice bouquets as well when they're just a little bit more mature and can last in the vase a bit better. So let's have a look at some of the hellebores that we've got in the garden here. I do love the double varieties. Those are the ones that I grow most of. They're just so pretty. Hellebores are really easy plants to look after in your garden. They don't really mind what soil type they are in. They can survive in anything as long as it's not really waterlogged. If you've got sandy soil or clay soil, you might want to improve it a little bit with some good garden compost, but on the whole, they're quite happy plants. So there's a few times of year that you can tidy up your hellebores, and for me I normally do it this time of year after the worst of the winter weather is gone and the ground isn't frozen anymore and not under snow, so I can see what I'm doing. But a lot of people do clear up their hellebore leaves in November, December as well, before the flowers have come out, so that's absolutely fine. You can do this, or you can wait to between January and March just now like I am and do your tidy up then. Both work well. Hellebores are generally very healthy plants, so you don't have much to worry about there, but they can be prone to leaf spot or black spot, and this is why we remove the leaves and we tidy the plants up every year. Once you remove the leaves, then you are taking away any fungal disease that might be harbouring on them, and it won't jump from hellebore plant to hellebore plant, so it's a good way of keeping them nice and healthy. And that's why I make sure you don't put the leaves on the compost heap, because you still might be spreading that disease if you put them in there. At this time of year, there's a little bit of care that we need to do with our hellebores to keep them looking their best and to grow really well through the season for us. When you are working with hellebores, it's a good idea to wear a pair of gardening gloves and to clean your secateurs after you've used them. The sap from the stems can be irritating to some people's hands. To tidy up this hellebore plant here, I've got my secateurs and we are just going to trim off the leaves at the base of each plant to tidy it up. And it's important that you don't throw these leaves onto the compost heap in case they've got any kind of disease in them. Black spot or leaf spot is quite common in hellebores, and if you just put these into your compost, you could be spreading the disease onto other flowers and plants when you put the compost on your soil later on. And also we don't want to leave them lying around because that would just transfer disease from one hellebore plant to another. So we're going to clear these up. You can burn the leaves or you can put them into your green recycling bins that go out every week, but just don't put them on your compost heap. So you can see there that we have cleared around the hellebore. I need to do a bit of weeding now. There's some grass that's coming through there that I don't want to be there, and a few other weeds, so I'll just do that just now. I've cleared away the leaves from around my hellebore plant, and I've now got some fish blood and bone here, which I'm just going to scatter around the base of the plant. That's a proper good handful there. And I'm just going to work it into the soil round about, like that. And then we're going to add some leaf mould that I've got here that we've just collected the leaves from the garden, and over the last couple of years it's been making a nice mulch for us. I'm going to put that around the base of our hellebore plant. You can feed with the fish blood and bone in March like I am just now, and also feed again in September before autumn starts, and feeding twice a year will just keep them really healthy. End of the season, in about late April, May time, these flowering hellebores will start to produce seeds, and these will spill out over the ground naturally, and over time they might germinate into little seedling plants. And we don't really want to keep these little seedling plants around our hellebore. It would mean that the little seedlings were competing for light and nutrients with the parent plant, and they wouldn't grow very well. And also the parent plant as well, it doesn't want these seedlings underneath it because it doesn't want to compete for the nutrients as well. So they're best removed. You want to dig them up, and you can pot them on into little pots, and then look after them in a sheltered position and feed them and add some compost into them every season. Let them grow on, and after a couple of years you can plant them out in their final positions in the garden, and they should grow away quite happily there for you. Hellebores are really easy plants to grow because they don't need a lot of attention in the garden. You can leave them to grow away over the years and they would be absolutely fine, giving you lots of nice flowers over the early spring months. But if you want to, you can divide them and you can transplant them. Best time to do this is probably in early autumn, the end of the summer, kind of September time here. And you can go and dig up the entire plant, make sure you get well under the roots so you're not disturbing it too much. And then if you want to divide it, you can split it into slightly smaller sections to plant up, or you can just take the plant and move it somewhere else that's a better location for it. Make sure you've dug a really nice big hole for it to go into, added some good compost from the garden, and some fish blood and bone meal food to give it a good start. Plant it in, cover it up with your compost and give it a good water, and it should settle down well. It might take a few years to get established in its new home. Hellebores don't like being moved around too much, so don't be too worried if you don't get good flowers the first year after moving it, but in subsequent years you should do. Just look at these hellebores, they're really pretty. I love the different colours that you can get, because you can get your lovely white ones, you can get your pale pink ones, you can get these really dark plum burgundy coloured ones. They're really lovely, and I really like using them in arrangements and brides bouquets. You have to be careful when you're cutting flowers for arrangements with hellebores that you don't cut them too early. If I was to cut them now, when they're just freshly coming out into flower, they would just wilt. You have to make sure that you've waited until the mature seed pods are coming out on the flowers, and then they'll last well for you in a vase. Kirsten's been helping me finish off the hellebore bed this afternoon by mulching it, and she's been a great help putting the fish blood and bone around and helping to remove those old tatty leaves from the winter time. So now it's looking really good. Kirsten and I have worked on the hellebore patch all afternoon now, and it's looking a lot better. They're all fed, mulched, and the old tatty leaves have been taken away. And that's it. I will have a look at removing some of the spent flower heads in May, and then in September I will feed them again before the winter. I hope you've enjoyed this week's videos on hellebores. I really do love these little flowers. They are beautiful in the garden at the time of year when there's little else flowering, and they look gorgeous in a vase later on when they're a little bit more sturdy and you can cut them. I hope you found some good tips to help you look after yours, but if there's anything else I can help you with, please just leave a message in the comment section.